S2Ep1&2, we're back! Dahlia's in frame. Hello! We're back! This is season 2, I guess, because the last one totally just stopped for a bit. Sorry about that, fam. Life happened. Fun fact, my house flooded earlier this year, and I spent all morning trying to find that fucking song because it was on my computer that was damaged, and I had to scour the internet to find that podcast song again because me and Dahlia were thinking of making a new one. But I found it, so we're good. Don't freak out, don't panic. There's not too much change happening. However, there's a little change happening. So, just so we know what's going on for season 2 and the rest of the podcast, as we know, this podcast has a lot to do with death and magic. It's still going to definitely be a death and magic podcast, but we're going to add some little more spice to it, and we're going to have some kink elements involved, because as you know, I'm very much in the kink industry. Dahlia, my guest today, is also in the kink industry. And I think there's a lot that a lot of podcasts aren't talking about. So we'll bring that in as an element from here on out. There's going to be some more kink-leaning episodes, some more death-leaning episodes, some more magic-leaning episodes. And also, there might be some episodes where we're fucking around. Because, like, if you know me outside of this, I play video games, and I'm in a punk band, so I'm going to add a little bit more diversity to the podcast.
It's a variety show.
Yes, we're turning this into a variety podcast, and hopefully y'all are down for the nonsense. The other thing that's going to be different this time around is I will, instead of posting these videos, we're live on Twitch right now for those that are listening later. We're live on Twitch every second Monday of the month on my Twitch channel. It's Lucyfer, LucyferTV. Nope, that's wrong.
You're doing great.
Twitch.tv/LucyferOfficial. You get it. It's fine. It's on Twitch. You'll find me. Yes, so every second of the Monday... Every second Monday of the month, we're going to be live on Twitch like we are today. It may be a new guest. It might be Dahlia again. Dahlia is probably going to be a very recurring person, so sucks. Get used to it.
Buckle up, bitches.
But we're also going to be, instead of uploading these videos to Patreon like I did before, I'm actually going to be uploading these to YouTube so you can watch them all on YouTube later.
Oh, God.
Get ready for that. So don't fuck up. And as you know, I don't really edit these podcasts at all. It's going to be pretty much the live, just posted straight to YouTube. So it's going to be the same video again. The Patreon, I'm going to start moving it to having maybe exclusive episodes on there, or episodes that might be a little bit too spicy for like Twitch and YouTube, and we can get into some more detailed things there, because there is a live version of Patreon that we might use in the future. I don't know. You know how busy I am. If you know me, you know I'm always fucking doing shit. So these are the ideas and the thoughts to prepare your brains. And yeah, that's pretty much all the things. So let me introduce you to Dahlia, which I have a little intro here. So, found in a cast iron pan on a runaway train using a vibrator as a weapon, it's a Jane of all trades and a silly little guy, Dahlia!
Hello, it's me. I'm Dahlia.
This is Dahlia. If y'all don't know Dahlia's in my band, RottenReputation. You should, totally check us out. We're pretty cool. And also, she was mentioned on a previous episode with Mark Swan as the skate magician.
Skate witch.
Skater magic. And so we're going to dive into that today. But hello, Dahlia. Welcome.
Hi, I'm honored to be here.
We need to sit around this microphone like we are trying to get the fire off of it and stay warm for the winter. So get as close as you can, and I will figure out a better method for future episodes.
I feel like I just sit on the ground.
Do you want to have the full ASMR experience? I mean, do whatever makes you comfortable.
Can I have the full?
Who's coming back at us? Oh my god.
Can I have the full Dahlia experience? reach out to me if you want the full Dahlia experience.
So Dahlia is lovely. And Dahlia is my roommate, my best friend, my music confidant, human, the Katya to my Trixie. No.
Well, I'm honored for that, honestly.
It's because when I'm around Dahlia, I'm the most capitalistic one trying to monetize everything, and I wear a lot of pink. And she's screaming, comrade, and running into the mountains. So, that's the vibes.
You need to fucking reel me back in for this one.
Oh,
Honestly.
I'm gonna let you go. We're gonna just go today. If you are live on Twitch, hello, beautiful people. Welcome in. If you have any questions live, feel free to move around.
I'm just like this.
If you have any questions throughout this whole thing, that's why we do this live on Twitch. Feel free to ask your questions and everything. And if you're listening to this later, you should totally join the Twitch live so you can participate in the conversation. Because if you don't, we're not going to read the comments later. So, yay! Today, we are going to be getting into sex magic. And I know Mark and I talked a little bit about it. But me and Dahlia are really going to get into it, and we're going to try our best to not violate any community guidelines in the process.
I have no idea what they are, so here...
We're just going to send it.
Hoping.
It's going to be great. But before we get into it, we can talk about how we know each other.
Yeah.
And how we've met. Obviously, we're in the band together.
Yeah.
But do you want to take it away?
Punk scene, shenanigans, just... Yeah.
There you go. That's it. That's the end of the story.
Played a show with my other band, Flower Crown Me a Queen, and RottenReputation was opening for us. That was a shit show that night because my drummer didn't show up. I was sick as a dog. I had fucking hemorrhoids up the wazoo. And that was how you met me at my worst.
I met you at peak hemorrhoid era Dahlia.
That was not peak hemorrhoid era Dahlia.
Oh,
We're not going to get into that. Nobody's getting into that.
Yeah, so we met through the punk scene, playing music. Dahlia's in a lovely folk punk band. That's her little solo project called Flower Crown Me a Queen. So if you're into that...
Mostly collaborative.
Yeah,
at this point now.
It's your baby, though.
It's a little bit my baby.
It's your baby.
I might kill that baby soon.
Oh my god! We have a miscarriage on the way. Congratulations!
Thank you. Baby's been around for longer than the Confederacy.
Oh my god. So Dahlia, to pull it back, Dahlia, I reached out to Dahlia when we first met, back when I was a cisgendered straight woman. Oh, God forbid. Can you believe there was a time in my life where I wasn't queer? But we got together. I asked her to, and I'm gonna say firstly, don't do this to people. But I'm really glad that I did, and if you have somebody in your life that you trust with doing something like this, definitely do it, because it changed my life. But I reached out to Dahlia to try to figure out
what all that gender nonsense was about.
Sexuality. I didn't understand all the stuff I was saying about trans people at the time. It was all very new to me. And so me and Dahlia went out for boba. Mm-hmm. And by the end of this conversation, I looked at her and I went, oh, so gender doesn't matter. And she goes, yes!
That's it!
And ever since
2
then,
hours just to get to that.
Yeah.
To that point.
And that conversation has changed my life, like, to this day. And now I find myself repeating that conversation to other people all the time. And I'm always happy to be that person that you were for me, for others now.
I mean, same. I have the patience more often than not to, like, go through the fucking shit. And
the whole monologue.
Yeah, to monologue away and, like... No, because here's the thing. If I don't do it, and this isn't to say that, like, every single trans person has to, like, you know, be that point of contact for cis people and, like, go through the fucking drudgery over and over and over again to, like, just very slowly educate the people around them about how they are as people.
Yeah.
You know, I'll go through that when I choose to, and I'd much rather, like, take the time, take a couple of hours, and just, like, fucking shoot the shit with somebody and let them know what's up, rather than them, like, searching up transgender topics and then immediately be met with turf shit on the internet. Because that's how fucking insidious it's gotten now.
Well, and that's exactly why I reached out to you in the first place, is because I was finding that the research I was getting didn't feel correct to me. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I know you'll be real with me about it and help me break down what I'm seeing on the internet and what I'm seeing at the time, like, other cis women saying versus trans women and just, like, all of this. And I was like, help me make sense of all of this, because it's a lot. It's a lot.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where, like, if you don't know exactly the question that you're trying to ask, or you don't know the answer that you're trying to get to, then it's hard to ask the questions that need to be asked.
True. But it's so hard to
figure... Does that make sense?
No, it's hard to figure out what the question is in the first place, and that's what makes it so confusing. Mm-hmm. And that's why I appreciate you doing that conversation with me. And ever since then, we've been friends. We've been friends. We were friends. She's dead to me now. No, no, we've been friends ever since. We've been friends ever since. We partied a bunch, and then you joined the band.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about you getting into the band?
Yeah. Y'all were looking for a bassist, and it was at a party. We were just sitting on fucking, I think it was Ocean's, like,
Halloween
living room, something like that.
Yeah.
But you're just like, oh, we need a bassist. Like, I can play bass. I don't have a bass or a bass amp, but I can play bass. And Ocean was like, well, I have a bass amp and a bass, and then that was how it happened, and I was just part of the band.
Yeah. And honestly, you've been such a lovely addition to it. I always talk about how, like, there's been previous members of the band, but the current members in the band, I consider the original members.
We're a good group.
Because I feel like...
play well together so well.
I feel like we all were meant for it. Mm. Like, we all just vibe so well. Like, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, but if we're not all four there, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
We all work collectively as a unit so well, and it's just like, we were all meant to play in a band together.
Yeah.
For sure.
Honestly.
And so, I'm glad that it fell into place the way that it did.
Can't believe that my first show was at the Aggie, of all places.
Oh, God.
Opening for Leftover Crack.
Oh, God! That was such a wild show. It was Ghoulies?
Screw Tape,
Leftover Crack, and us.
We weren't even ska yet.
Oh, my God! Why were we on that bill?
None of the bands were ska.
Why were we on that bill?
Why were any of the bands on that bill?
That's a great question. That was a show.
That was a show.
But it was your first one, and I think we have pictures of it still. I remember I was in that, like, striped vest.
Mm-hmm. I had no idea what to do with all that stage.
Oh,
because I had my little fucking, like, notebook set up on stage with, like, all the fucking...
all your notes.
Yeah, all the notes, like, all the chord progressions and everything, and I was just, like, every so often just, like, walking by, like, alright, yeah, that's fine.
You're like, I got showmanship! Here we go! So, Dahlia and I, we've been in the band. We've also have on and off lived together. We're roommates again. So, look out.
For the second, third time?
It depends on what you count as roommates. Because me and Dahlia have gone back and forth between just, like, couch surfing with each other. Because poor! Huzzah!
Well,
we live in the middle of the city.
The first year I was in RottenReputation, I was sleeping on your living room floor.
Yes.
And that was pretty cool.
If you remember the Mark Swan episodes, a lot of our conversations in those episodes talk about the era in which Dahlia lived with us. Mm-hmm. And anytime we're talking about, like, all of us, Dahlia's included in that conversation. It was me, Mark's partner, Mark, and you. And we were, like, the squad. And Dahlia's bedroom was just our living room, pretty much. But it was nice. It had your essence to it. You made it your own. It didn't feel like you were in the middle of the living room. Mm-hmm. It felt like it was your space. And we would just come in and you'd be like, oh, good morning, I'm making breakfast, or, you know, whatever, I've made coffee, and it was a good time. And so now, I was struggling to find a place to live a couple months ago, and Dahlia was like, I fucking got you, I got a room, here we go, and now I got a sick fucking room. So...
This is the murder closet.
This is just a closet in the room. That's how big this room is.
The room is huge.
And I love it.
Kind of fucked up.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you letting me in.
Absolutely.
Let me in! So, is there any other intro or anything anybody needs to know before we really get into the meat of this?
I just do everything. I'm like you. I just do everything.
That's true. You're the train hopping version of me.
But I don't put any of it on the internet.
She's,
is the thing.
She's like the anti-me.
Truly.
Like, we do all the same stuff, but in very different ways. Dahlia has a flip phone. Dahlia doesn't even, like, Dahlia does 123 texting. Yeah, see? And it's a pain in the ass to get a hold of this bitch.
It's the best.
She's like, yes, no one can find
me. Text me. Just call me instead.
Dahlia doesn't do social media. Dahlia doesn't do any of that.
Well, I'm on Twitter now.
Well, but that's for
very
specific reasons that if you want to explain what those are, you're welcome to.
I thought we were trying to stay within, like, community guidelines.
I mean, you can say keywords. Dahlia does the spicy content.
The spiciest content. Well,
yes.
Not the spiciest, but we'll be getting there. We'll be
not,
getting pretty fucking spicy.
It's just got a little heat to it.
Yeah.
But if you want to find Dahlia's stuff, what's your handle?
Possum Bitch.
No vowels.
At BTCH PSSM BTCH. I'm Butch Possum Bitch. What can I say?
See, she makes it very difficult to find her. So
I do.
Good luck.
Great.
But
why isn't my engagement going up? I wonder.
Oh my god. Well, that is kind of a segue into what we're talking about, which is sex magic.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try our best to not get Twitch upset with us this entire conversation. But honestly, don't hold back. Just go for it. So, how did you get into this form of magic? Why sex magic? Why is this what we're talking about with you today?
Well, I think we gotta start by defining, like, what is sex magic. And
okay,
for that,
we
gotta define, like, you know, what magic is, what sex is, and how those two things can be, like, used interchangeably. Or not interchangeably, but, like, in conjunction with each other.
Yeah.
So I first got into magic, literally, I got super fucking stoned one night, and like my little ADHD brain like wanted me to just went on like a fucking 4-hour deep dive until the sun came up on like Celtic paganism.
Yeah.
Specifically Celtic paganism. I was going through I don't know if I should
scooch this way.
I'm just gonna scooch this way. I'm too tall. I'm getting cut off from the top.
That's okay. We need to hear you. Continue.
I was in a very tumultuous point in my life, and I was searching for like some guidance, you know, coming off of like renouncing the Catholic Church in my youth.
Youths? Multiple youths?
Multiple youths. I'm in my second youth right now.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. But my dad was Irish Catholic, raised me with all that, and like how you and Mark were talking about how Catholicism is just magic. There's ritual.
Oh, 100%.
There's partaking in the blood and body of Christ.
Yep.
And you know the entire. It's not a multiple god pantheon, but like the saints are fucking something.
The saints
for
are
sure.
Something. Prophets.
Mm-hmm.
Prophets are something. The angels are something.
Mm-hmm.
Something is something.
Yeah, all these actually believing in demons like as a physical thing instead of just a metaphor.
A vibe.
For instead of just a vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I found that not that it was easy to map that upbringing onto any sort of paganism. I also didn't immediately like, you know, I just didn't look that up and be like, oh, I'm a Celtic pagan now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm devoting myself to this pantheon of belief, but kind of diving into how other religions than the one I was raised in, like work or how they like affect the people in which they are practiced. You know?
What do you mean?
Like, the way that language, like the way that the English language works, inherently affects the way that we perceive reality because we only have so many words to describe it. We have so many ways to describe it.
True.
And this thing is the same thing goes for like religious belief, I think, which is, you know, you talk to someone who, you know, believes in, you know, let's take evangelical Protestantism, for example. Super duper individualistic, like, God has created humans in his own image, and so humans are the greatest fucking thing to walk the earth. And then you have Catholics who are, like, so fucking embedded with guilt that, like, I'm a horrible little worm of a human being. I do not deserve the blessings that God have deposed, like, has given me. Like, literally begging for forgiveness for being born. Yeah. Kind of thing.
An abusive relationship.
But, like, that can affect so much how you perceive yourself and perceive everybody else around you and perceive, like, the whole rest of the world. Yeah. And so I think that, like, it wasn't so much, like, choosing a different way of believing in a greater divine, but feeling out what felt right to me. And so I started off, like, researching Celtic paganism, some Nordic paganism, a little bit of a dive into, like, Eastern traditions, Buddhism and stuff.
Why is that where you started?
It seemed the most accessible to me immediately. I'm Irish. I'm something like fucking 40% Irish or whatever, like, blood.
So you're following kind of bullshit. The heritage.
But yeah, I didn't want to just be like, oh, I'm going to dive into, like, Native American spirituality and just...
Which is good.
and just be like, fuck yeah, I live here. That means that, like, those beliefs are good for here, but that's not who I am.
So you looked into your heritage and then went from there, kind of thing.
To see if there was any kind of connection that I could have with that aspect of my ancestry. Instead of just, like, picking and choosing different things that I liked about a bunch of different religions. I was trying so hard not to be a fucking wook about it. You know?
Well, it's like, I think we've talked about this before, where Wicca is kind of that, and given there are interpretations of Wicca that isn't, because people are starting to become aware of this, but Wicca, basically is the gentrification of religions and, like, Modge Podge of colonization of a bunch of other religions and making them white accessible.
I don't think that...
Which isn't a good thing.
It's not a good thing. I'm going to
white accessible
by saying that, like...
isn't good.
Diluting cultural significance for the sake of accessibility of your own culture is... That. It's fucking bullshit. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. So
you have to take the thing in its entirety, the way that it was conceived, the way that it has been perpetrated for centuries, or you fucking leave it alone.
Exactly.
And that is the conclusion that I came to. Because through my research, through things, it wasn't so much that any specific path, for lack of a better word, spoke out to me, but there was this... calling to a belief of the higher divine that I felt intrinsically within me, but I didn't want to just pluck the things that I liked out of certain things. And so, some of that, like, you know, celebrating Samhain and performing ritual during that time, you know, I'll be celebrating Yule this winter. I think that those are important, like, those were created for a purpose, and I think that, like, a general reflection of, like, your grief, the way that you process, like, the passing of other people, during Samhain is an important thing. I think that, like, processing the year that you had, looking forward, making like goals or setting manifestations for like the new year, doing Yule. You know, there's something about like the darkest night of the year, the longest fucking darkest night of the year, and all your friends just huddled around a fire sharing a fucking bottle of JMO.
Well, and there's a reason all of these have been put into place. Or like why holidays exist in the first place. A lot of it originates from like Yule and Samhain and things like that.
I think that the first day of spring should be celebrated. I think that like the harvest should be celebrated. And you have a fucking feast and like have everyone around you. I'm not diving into like trad shit.
Like,
you know, like the
define what you mean by that.
Okay, so this is there's going to be a lot of different facets of this, but on the internet specifically, this idea of like, you know, whenever Republicans talk about like traditional values, they mean either like, oh, the fucking shit that led to the economic prosperity of the 80s, or the like nuclear family of the 1950s, or the hardworking like, you know, American way of life in like the 20s and 30s. The binary of gender. The binaries of gender, like. I like you saying that, Bucky. Point isn't that you're controlling the people around you with faith, is that you want to celebrate life and where you are and how far you've come. Hell yeah.
Very good, Bucky. Thank you for that.
Yeah. But like the idea that there is some magical point in time when everything was fantastic and perfect, and that was also coincidentally the same point in time where like black people had no rights, when we were sterilizing black women, when we were like fucking forcing natives onto reservations and putting them through hundreds and thousands of miles of grief and misery and kill them off one by one. And, you know, when gay people didn't exist in the public eye or whatever, that time never existed. Ever. And back then, people were still complaining about how there was a specific time before then
that was even better. That was even better.
Yeah, and it
just
keeps
goes,
going. As long as you don't actually engage with the actual history of that, you know, the gender fuckery that was happening like the 1920s, during Prohibition, the ways in which, you know, the largest library of, like, the study of, I want to say transgenderism, but I can't think of another word. But like the study of people being transgender existing in Germany, and that was being burned.
Just erasing all of that.
Yeah, like
to create their ideal version of quote unquote perfect.
Queer people have always been around. Trans people have always been around. Autistic people have always been around. No one's getting more autistic. They're just feeling more comfortable talking about the autism that they already have. Like, it's not so much that I think a lot of conservatives see like this spring of like new kinds of people that they haven't really interacted with before, especially in like a one-on-one kind of way. I'm getting so far off topic here.
You're doing great. Keep going. We gotta take a drink real quick.
And it seems like there's so many more people that are trans or autistic, or that there are, you know, non-white people taking over.
Eye now.
Yeah. You know, and there is this study. I don't know exactly who did it. I can find the link and then send it to you, and you can put it on the YouTube video or whatever.
I'll probably throw it in the Discord.
Fact check myself. But
and the YouTube. No, we got a YouTube thing now.
We got
YouTube description.
We got the YouTube.
We gotta remember though. So
I will not.
I won't either. So somebody's gonna do it. Somebody will do it. They'll remember. Remind me.
Well, like, there's a study that basically showed that, on the whole, people think that minority groups are bigger than they are. And that majority groups are smaller than they are. You know, it showed that, like, people, you know, believe that, like, 21% of the population is trans. 1% of the population is trans. You know, 1 to 2% of the population is trans. But, like, that sort of amount of discrepancy, I feel like, explains the way that they view the world and how some of their, you know, way of life is being quote unquote taken away from them, even though that's bullshit. I'm not trying to take away your shit. I'm
just trying to live.
I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to do my shit.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Where were you going with this?
I'm going with this. Okay, so those conservatives who believe that like there are more trans people, there are more fucking non-white people in the world than there were, or at least non-white people in the country than there were. You know, the whole fucking white genocide.
A country built to be a melting pot. So
I would not say built to be a melting pot. I would say that like the flames that the fuel that we used to heat the pot were brown and black bodies.
True.
And even then, like, white people were still fucking discriminating against other white people just because they just love to do that shit.
So why did we even get this, like, thought of the melting pot thing then?
Because
I had that preached into me.
It's propaganda.
Oh, lit.
Let you feel better about the country and the ways in which different kinds of people got here, even though the ways in which different people got here are horrid and atrocious.
Yes.
But there is this feeling idea that, like, you know, I don't want to say, like, trad wife or, like, trad Catholic or, you know, traditional values.
That's what you were defining. Yeah. Yes.
You need context for this because it is a nuanced and fucking, like, almost expansive thing. These people believe that, you know, that go back to homesteading, go back to, like, wife stays home, man goes out, does all the fucking
in this economy?
Work and stuff like that. It's still an incredibly minute perception of how the world worked before now.
Yeah.
You know, all these people were just like, I'm just going to go buy some property out in the middle of the woods, and I'm going to farm, and I'm going to sustain myself off the land. Like, that's not going to work. It never worked that way. No one family was ever able to provide for themselves solely on the fruits of their own labor.
You need community.
You need community in order to share the shit. You can only grow so much stuff in your garden. You can only raise so many livestock. You can only spend so much time with one person doing all of that.
Which we'll get into polyamory in a bit. So prepare for that.
Like having one person do all of that. That is it's unfeasible. It's impossible. You know, that feeds into the idea of just like, you know, these traditional like values, and I think a lot of especially like conservative men. Okay, I don't see when I say conservative. I also, you know, when you say conservative man, you think, you know, fucking Charlie Kirk. You think like clean cut dude who goes to Young Republicans meetings and shit like that.
Right.
But you don't think, you know, when I say conservative man, you don't think necessarily of the specific kind of guy who has a fucking Balk nut tattoo.
Like the white supremacist.
White supremacist who, like, doesn't actually outright say it, but, you know, you look at him and he's like, you're kind of sketch, dude. Like, that man believes in a different kind of traditional value that is rooted within, I want to say, like, Northern European.
Yeah.
And it's, like, Scandinavian, like, there's, like, Norse ideals. You know, the dudes who meet, like, oh, I'm a fucking Viking, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, no, you're not. You fucking take your wife's PT Cruiser to Costco and get, like, fucking frozen meat like the rest of us.
I had a PT Cruiser once. It was a great car.
It was a great car.
The only problem with the PT Cruiser...
They don't make those anymore.
They don't. And they had the windshield, or, like, window button, not on the door, but on the dashboard. And it was very confusing. Anyway, so... white supremacy, Nordic magic, Irish magic.
I think a lot of those, you know, there's a reason why Northern European and like white pagan religions were accessible. They're more easily accessible than say like, and this isn't even just saying like to me personally. I just mean like on the internet, on the places that I was going to research, in the books that I was reading. You think about like, oh, talk about a fucking pagan belief, everyone immediately goes to, like, Celtic or, like, Nordic paganism, and those pantheons. But you talk about paganism, you don't really think about, like, the polytheistic pantheons of, like, Egyptian beliefs or, like, Greek beliefs, or to that extent even, like, Roman beliefs, or any other folk religion that wasn't necessarily prevalent in those kinds of not prevalent because they cannot be weaponized to invoke white supremacy.
Yes.
Is the thing that I'm trying to say.
Well, and that's why most of the information on the internet, when it comes to, like, research and stuff, that has that more accessible because they want to continue to push that agenda of the white supremacy and things like that. And that's what's made it hard for me and my magic is, like, I try to do a lot of Nordic things because I'm Scandinavian, Nordic, so it's my heritage is from all of that area exactly. And every time I start looking into stuff, I'm like, ooh, let me double check these symbols, make sure they're not like a dog whistle somewhere, and a lot of the times they are. And it's so irritating because it's like I'm trying to connect with my heritage and connect with this part of my personal history, but also recognizing that a part of that history is that.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucks.
That's another thing to say, like, colonization plays a big part in that because it wasn't necessarily, only English Protestants or, like, Roman Catholics or, like, the Spanish conquistadors. Like, the Dutch sailed on over the Atlantic and were colonizing first, and some of those, that was a while after, like, the active, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not convergence, not conversation, but is, like, the active,
I don't know,
converting of, like,
conversion?
Scandinavian active conversion.
I have no idea. You got
doing
this.
Great. I'm doing so good. Like, those pagan cultures and, like, trying to wipe them out in order to, like, colonize with Christianity. Like, that was still after. But, those cultures still brought that fucking over.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's really what sticks in people's minds when they think of, like, magic and paganism. But
is, like, the white version of magic that we see is usually the one that's most advertised, I guess. But it's also the one that we subscribe to. Yeah. It's because we're white. So that.
Yeah, so I saw all that and I was like, no fucking thank you. No thanks. I don't want. It's not that I don't want any of that. I mean, it's not that I don't want, a place within those pantheons, but I don't think that those pantheons are also entirely useful to me here.
Yeah.
I think that religion was born out of the dirt that the people who practice it were born out of. That's not to say that I'm also just going to, pick up native practices and spirituality and, like, change those to suit mine own ends. But I also don't believe that I can just go out to any old oak tree that was planted in downtown Denver and, like, act like I'm a druid,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my magic is a lot more eclectic. It's a lot more, like, based in chaos magic of just finding...
I was gonna say, I'm like, you're much more chaos driven.
Just whatever suits my needs, I will use.
Very much the banging pots and pans to make the ghosts go away.
Yeah.
Kind of vibes.
Yeah. If we were to understand magic as action plus intent, that leaves it wide open for you to just do whatever the fuck you want. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
as humans, like, our spirituality should be as individual as our name, should be as individual as our fingerprints.
I agree. You make it your own without, like, taking it from other cultures and, like, bending it to your own. It's like, but personalizing it for you.
Yeah. Like, it's... I don't use white sage anymore to cleanse the spaces that I want to, for some different reasons. The main one is that, or the main two is that white sage traditionally has been used in native practices for smudging, and smudging is like a specifically, not like across the board because they're not a monolith, but in specific native cultures for air purifying and cleansing of spaces. And whenever I do smoke cleanses, I don't refer to it as smudging because that is not my culture. That's not my word or practice.
What do you like to call it?
I just call it smoke cleansing.
Yeah.
Let's call it cleansing. Let's cleanse the space.
And I mean, that's kind of what I do. I use dragon's blood a lot. That's
Dragon's
usually
blood.
my go-to scent. Or
Frankincense?
eucalyptus.
Or, and this is me, you know, I know I just said I don't like pick and choose, but also, you know, you can take nods from other places, you know, and the second big thing is that, like, white sage has been over harvested for like fucking witch kits that you can buy at Sephora and some fucking bullshit like that.
I remember when Urban Outfitters started getting like mini witch kits.
Yeah.
And it had like a sage bundle, it had like a Palo Santo, and then it had like a little shell dish.
Same with Palo Santo, like I'm not a bruja.
Yeah,
exactly. I can't tap into that specific kind of magic.
And there is in Colorado, I was actually talking to a friend of mine who is native. In Colorado, there is a space where you can donate your white sage and Palo Santo to the natives. And you can even buy sage from them that's like actually taken care of and not like manufactured. And they're happy to have you burn it if you want to burn it. But they prefer it if it comes from them and not from like Urban Outfitters. You know?
Yeah.
So if you have any that wasn't like ethically sourced, there is a place, I can't think of the name right now, but I will definitely link that as well. But that's specifically to Colorado. I'm sure like every state in the U.S. might have their own version of it. But it's very important to make sure that you have, if you're going to do it, to get it from a native.
What I was going to say is that instead of using white sage, take a little nod from old Celtic practices and using rosemary.
Ooh,
rosemary
yeah, that's
also
nice
works.
too.
And you can just grow that in your own backyard.
Same with like lavender. You can do the same with that. I know, I think we've talked about it before, girl blunts. You ever had a girl blunt before?
Define girl blunt.
Okay, so a girl blunt, for those that don't know, is weed.
Oh.
With, like, lavender and, like, if you want to do, like, catnip or things like that, like, other herbs in it, wrapped in roses, and then dipped in, like, an oil, and then the oil is, like, burnt off with a lighter, and that's a girl blunt, and it's insane.
That's fucked up.
It's wild.
That sounds delicious.
It's
that
fucked,
sounds so good.
but it's so good. We should do one sometime. We should do that for Yule. But you could do things like that.
Yeah.
And, like, I know, I have a friend who I'm going to bring on, Shell, who smoke cleanses with weed by smoking in their room and kind of letting it hotbox a bit and then allowing the air out through the windows. And, like, that's a way that they cleanse as well. That's, like, their version of smoke cleansing. And I know a lot of, like, ganja witches tend to use... I know. That's what they call themselves.
Goodness.
But they tend to use that as a version of smoke cleansing as well, because especially if you're in Colorado and any state where it's illegal, which should be all of them soon, right? We just legalized psychedelics, so boo!
I don't want to go to a mushroom dispensary.
I do.
I know that's not what the law says. The law says that you can grow your own and then share them with friends and family. But
I
also,
am on a wait list for psychedelic therapy, and it's gonna be lit.
I don't know about that.
But you can still grow your own. You can still grow your own weed too.
I read the law. It seems like it's gonna be regulated much the same as like home brewing alcohol.
Yeah.
Basically. But
Which.
I homebrew alcohol. I make my own mead. I don't have a complex about it like the white supremacists do. This isn't even mead. This is fucking PBR.
Oh my god. PBR in a nice little floral glass.
I'm a fancy punk bitch.
Fancy. Drinking your piss water. So, how'd you get into magic?
Well, that's how I got into magic. Now, how did I get into
why'd
sex?
you pick... How have you gotten from what you just described to where you are now with your magic? So that's all the research that you did, all the, like, problematic things that you found as well, and the things you needed to unlearn from, like, white culture standards? Maybe that's a better word? Society? Brainwashing? And got you to the point where you are today, and what is your magic today? How would you define it now?
I would say that my magic is largely community based. You know, like even let's take the concept of mass. You know, like in Catholic beliefs, that is a way for people to listen to the word of God. Yeah. Because if you can't, you know, when fucking mass started, like people just couldn't fucking read, and so if you go to mass for 4 years every Sunday, you will get through the entirety of the Bible. Just the way that the sermons are. Just through are constructed.
Audio.
Yeah, this is the first audio book.
Priest.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Go on.
But I find that a lot of my magic, I've not so much stepped away, but I have let my personal practice go, just from being dogged down by capitalism, not having the energy to...
I feel that.
...really do the kinds of, like, ritual and practices that I want to. Hell yeah, Torin!
Torin said, PBR is in a nice floral glass as my gender.
Isn't it all?
No, I feel the same way, especially since my house flooded earlier this year. I haven't really done any of my magic stuff, because it's like, at that point, it's just been surviving in capitalism. Yeah. And I think we've both been in this, like, weird survival mode for a little bit, and I know you and I have been talking about it, of, like, we need to get back into it, and I know with Yule, that's gonna help a lot.
I mean, even with Samhain, like, you... Excuse me. Like, we had a fire, we did a ritual for processing grief.
Is that PBR treating you?
Better than most things.
Oh my god. You were saying.
But yeah, we did performed ritual for Samhain, and that was really, really nice. It was a small group of folks, but that kind of like group magic that wasn't necessarily based in any specific, you know, coven. Yeah. You know, it's not
a secret club.
It's not a secret club. Just like we're performing ritual, you're welcome to participate if you want to the degree that you would like to participate. Yeah. Still don't step out of the circle. Like, you're in this until it's completed. Yeah. But
you can sit if you want.
You can sit if you want. You can just watch if you want. You can just hang out around the fire. But everyone who came participated, and they all said it was a wonderful experience, and like something that they like needed. And that is, I think, you know, magic is to be shared. Much in the same way that, like, you know, you go to mass, but I don't think that necessarily, like, if you just go to mass but you don't go home and pray to God every single night, I don't think that makes you a bad Catholic any more than participating in group ritual with your friends, and then like not, meditating every single day.
Yeah.
And burn through fucking a whole bag of incense. Oh, no!
Incense!
Incense! And all this talk about, like, the Nordic pantheon is...
I mean, my heritage is all in, like, the same area.
I was thinking about the Greek gods for too long.
Incest must have happened at some point.
Mm-hmm.
If not, most of it.
God.
Definitely clip that, Bucky.
No!
Thank you.
Get ratioed.
Oh, no! Go ahead, continue.
God, where was I? Oh, yeah, but not going home and, like, burning through a bag of incense. Every fucking, like, every week makes you a bad witch, And I think there's also... This is going to go into a whole other conversation we're going to have later, but I think the identity of witch is not something that I label myself as.
I feel that. Me and Mark talked about that too, where Mark is like, I don't identify as a witch, but I guess there's no other word for it.
If we were to define a witch as someone who performs witchcraft, then yes. Sure, I participate in a ritual, I perform magic,
by the modern definition that we know of.
But if we are prescribing a identity with all of its connotations, with all of what that entails, onto a person, I don't believe myself to be a witch.
Well, and I also struggle with the monetization of the word, especially in the last few years, how, everybody is a witch, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's great if everybody wants to practice and do things like that, but it seems to be used a lot looser than what it used to. I remember being in, high school, and I first was looking into it, and you wouldn't even believe, but I remember for the longest time being, so worried of being any tied to Satan, or the devil, or hell, because that was bad, and I'm like, oh, I'm not a bad witch, I'm a light witch, I do stuff with angels.
But that's another thing, you hear, fucking dark magic and, white
and now
magic,
that's all I
and
do.
then that's, fucking, white supremacy again.
Exactly, and that's what I learned, and that's why, so it's, right-hand path, left-hand path. Right-hand path is the, conservative religions where it comes to, Christianity, things like that, there's, the one God. And then there's the left-hand path, which is, the pagan religions, where it's a little bit more chaotic, and more, personalized rather than guilt-fueled. Guilt-fueled.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that for the longest time being so afraid of, the word witch, and everybody in school, if you said that kind of word, or the people that you were around, they'd be like, what do you mean witch? And they would tense up, and especially with parents or people that lived through the 80s of the flashbacks of the Satanic Panic. Whenever you brought up anything oh, I'm just really interested in D&D, and they're like, what? No, you're not. That's the devil stuff. I was always so afraid of that, and now, oh no, something happened.
What are you talking about, Lucyfer?
But crazy to believe, for the longest time I was afraid of that, and that's exactly what you're talking about, where it's it is that white supremacy belief that especially us as white people are conditioned into at a very young age, and having to pull ourselves out of that and educate ourselves beyond the people that raised us.
Yeah.
So you're magic.
It's not magic, yeah.
So you're defining your magic basically as chaos magic, and coming out of this traditional conservative form of religion and breaking out of that and breaking free. How did you do that?
Drugs.
Hey! It all comes back to drugs.
Being incredibly gay and queer and trans.
I think the queer to witch or whatever word we're defining it, pipeline, is very real.
Yeah. I think that I think that witchcraft, you know, if you take it seriously and are as introspective about your practice and not, you know, just doing it for the aesthetic, but like, you know, meditation does a lot for figuring out your fucking shit.
Yeah.
And so
it's just good for you to do. Like, religion or beliefs aside, like, it's something my therapist recommends I do for just my mental health. It's something that my doctors, my cardiology doctors, recommend I do for my heart health. Like, it's just, it is good for you. However you define yourself doing it is up to you. If you're doing it for your heart, for your mental health, or for religious beliefs, whatever that may be.
Apparently the audio has obtained delay.
Oh, is it doing the thing? Lou, can you hear us? Is there someone outside? They're coming to get us. It's happening! The rapture!
About to happen.
They heard us talking mad shit.
Well, that's a big delay. No one's responding to that.
I know. I'm concerned. But
Anyways.
wrap up where you were at and we'll make sure that the audio is good.
Oh god, where was I going?
Girl. I don't even know.
Chaos magic, individual. Oh yeah, meditation. I think that, like, you know, being queer means that you have to be more honest with yourself, and I think that the two of those go hand in hand pretty fucking well.
And that kind of dived you into finding something else.
Yes.
And finding your version of magic. Okay, so real quick, we'll stop a second before we get on to the next point and figure out what the fuck is going on.
Whoa.
Ah! Can you hear us? Yes or no? I was worried this was going to happen because OBS has been really weird recently. Yes!
OBS?
Have you been able to hear us the entire time?
But there's an echo.
There's an echo. Okay, let me try this. How about now? Is there still an echo? Gone.
Yay!
Cool! So there's a whole echo for the beginning of that. That'll be great.
That was a whole hour.
That was a whole
Nope.
hour. It's gone, is what they're saying.
Okay.
Thank you, Torin. Thank you, Bucky. I appreciate yous.
Yeah.
Fuck. It wasn't echoey for an hour. Oh, okay, so it was
Okay.
just towards the end? The last couple minutes? Okay, cool.
That's
I
not
can
bad.
work with that. That's fine. Sick. So, that's the first
That's the
hour.
first hour.
Jesus
We
Christ.
just defined magic.
We haven't even gotten into all of our bullet points yet.
Yep.
We're just at the introduction. So, buckle in. Here we go. Part 2.
What is sex?
Fuck. We don't need to get that deep. But we are going to actually start talking about sex magic now. Because Dahlia, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, mostly identifies with using sex magic, chaos magic, and doing whatever the fuck you want in a consensual way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. End of episode. All right. Great to see
That's
ya.
it. Fuck yeah.
So I wrote down, what is sex magic?
Sex magic is it's when you sex.
When
And
you
you-
and when you
and
when. Yeah,
Okay,
it's pretty much
so-
in the name.
Okay, if magic is to be action plus intent. You know, and everyone talks about, like, energies and the different ways in which those energies manifest. Orgasm is an incredible release of energy
Yes.
that is super duper potent and very useful for manifesting the things that you want to manifest.
Yes, and
it-
a lot of my magic has a lot to do with sex magic. So, like, you and I...
You talk about that a little bit. I've been fucking just going off about white
this
supremacy
episode's
for a
about
minute.
you,
Oh,
you lovely
no.
little bean. Would you like to take a drink?
I have taken many
Cleanse
drinks.
thine palate. I definitely do a lot of sex magic. I think that's, like, one of my main forms of magic because I do think that, like what you're saying, orgasms have such powerful energy. And I know we've talked about this before as well, also with Mark, where you have to be careful where you're putting that energy because it is so intense and so powerful that, like, if you're having sex with someone or masturbating about someone, you are giving them part of your energy. You are fueling them, and that person's also fueling you, you know? And if you're in a orgy situation, that's also a lot of powers coming together. And they don't necessarily clash with each other, but they definitely build with each other, and it can create very, very powerful magic, which we're going to add the other perspective to the German boy stories that we talked about with Mark. If y'all remember, it was, which episode was it? It was the Psychic Vampires one?
Yeah, Psychic Vampires.
Yeah, if you want to hear Mark's...
part of the Mark interview.
Yeah, if you want to hear Mark's side of this, it's in that episode. But me and Dahlia, Shell, and Mark all used, which is the word, and it's unfortunate, but used this man in Germany to fuel our... We used sex magic.
I don't think we had, like, a goal in mind. We were
no,
just like, this
we were just fucking around.
Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
And so Mark drew a sigil. You still have it.
I still have it. I can go grab it real quick.
There was fire involved.
There was
are you gonna go grab it? You should.
I don't know if Mark would want it to be seen, to be honest. Mark is very, like, don't show anybody anything ever.
That's too much power for anybody else.
It's too much, but I do still have it. And maybe, let me get Mark's consent to post it, and I might post a little picture of it. But, just a little one. Not a big picture, just a tiny photo.
Tiny little
but yeah, so this was back when I was an online dominatrix, and I had a sub in Germany, which, again, we talked about on the previous episode, and we edged him for about 2 hours. And
so fucked up.
You took over for a bit, I took over for a bit.
Yeah, you went and took a shower, and then I was talking to him.
You took a shower also at one point too.
Yeah.
Mark and Jill had sex while this was going on, and we were just fucking with him the whole time. And when he ejaculated, before we even got the video or any confirmation that he did, we all felt it. So describe that feeling.
Oh man, the only way that I can describe that feeling, it was a burst of energy, like I just shotgunned a monster.
Yeah.
But then that like energy fucking stayed with us for like a week.
A week. And the thing is that week, the German boy, had a terrible week. Absolutely horrendous week. So we drained him. It was bad. It was not good. We are not endorsing this. We should totally do it again.
We are not doing that again.
I'm just kidding.
Fucked up.
It was fucked up, and it wasn't okay. But it was definitely a wild experience, and that was not my first experience with sex magic, but definitely the first time where I truly implemented it and was like, oh, this is something. Because I tried a few times, failed a lot. I remember I did some, like, sex magic where I masturbated about this guy that I was really into, and I really wanted him to fall in love with me. And he didn't, but he ended up finding a girlfriend who he was with for like 2 some years, and they were very much in love and lived together. So, I mean, it worked, but not for me. I guess I just aimed wrong or something. I don't know.
That's right. You don't fuck with love spells. You
exactly.
can't do that.
And I've talked about this on TikTok. If any of you have followed my TikToks back in the day, I'm very much... love magic is... I don't like using the term dark magic, but it's not good.
It's not consensual.
It's not consensual.
If
it is in a consensual space, though...
Yeah, if all parties involved like know what they're getting into and there was like a conversation beforehand, then Sure. If you are using love magic in order to influence somebody else without their knowledge or without their prior consent, that is fucked up.
It's fucked up.
That's fucked up. Don't do that.
Yeah, well, and that goes with anything, love magic or not. Like, make sure that the other party is comfortable with what you're doing. I remember when I was in the hospital and I was in my coma, Z asked their friend if they could light a candle or do something for me because they didn't know what to do, and they're like, I just need something to feel like I'm in some sort of control, and so I know my friend does magic stuff. Can you do it? Well, I technically wasn't able to consent in that moment, but Z was doing it on behalf of me, and I thought that was very sweet. And so I still accept that as, like, consent from me, because if I was awake at the time, I would have been like, fuck yeah, that's sick. And I still do. I think that's awesome that, because my partner does not believe in magic at all. Not a magic person, but in that moment, they're like, you know what, let's give it a go. Maybe it's something. And I think that's sweet. And so I think there's, like, a way to do it like that, where...
But that's not sex magic, though.
No. That's just, I'm saying magic in general. Like, you need the consent in general. But, to pedal back, what is the difference between love magic and sex magic?
I would say that love magic is magic that is performed in the pursuit of romantic attraction or reciprocation of those feelings. I would say that sex magic... love magic can lead to sex, but I think that sex magic is magic that is performed with sex.
I define it as sex magic is a tool that you are using for anything. Love magic is the intention. So the intent or the goal is love in love magic. In sex magic, it could be the goal is protection. The goal is completely different. Like, it's just a tool like you would use for, like, burning paper or whatever. Instead of burning paper, I'm going to orgasm about it. So it's more of a tool or a vessel to get across your attention rather than the intention itself. The thing they have in common is that they would be incredible soul albums. Thank you, Torin. Love magic and sex magic is at the next double EP.
Oh, God. Martin Gaye, who?
Oh, my God.
Marvin Gaye? Fuck. I just mispronounced Marvin Gaye's name.
We haven't been doing well with words this entire time.
Doing so good. I feel like an asshole.
No, you're totally fine. This isn't totally being recorded and posted to the internet forever. It's okay. So, now that we've defined sex magic, and hopefully y'all have a good idea of what we mean, we're basically saying, kind of what I was just saying. Like, orgasming instead of maybe burning a piece of paper or making a stew or, whatever tool you would use. Instead, you're using orgasms and sex as your tool for manifestation. So, let's talk about your experience with it.
Oh, man. The last orgy that we had at the Polyamory? Holy fuck.
I left.
You left.
Because everybody started kissing, and I was like, I'm gonna go.
So there were some vibes.
There were definitely some vibes.
But it wasn't, people were, like, flirting with each other and stuff.
As they do.
But...
Our house is called the Polyamory, so we'll get into that in a second. But there's a reason it's called that.
The orgy came about, and I want to say because it was a specific instance of two of the people who were involved in the orgy getting naked and literally just dancing under the full moon.
That's how every good orgy starts.
After the show. Well, hello, Arisa.
Arisa just jumped up here with us. She has joined the podcast.
I don't know if you can even see her.
Ah.
There's tail up there. But yeah, that...
Orgies? Go on.
Orgies. Oh my god.
How did it go?
It went fantastically. It went super duper well.
Do you want to go into any depth?
I don't think that I should for community guidelines' sake.
You probably can get away with a little bit. Talk about the sex magical parts of it. Get into those.
The thing about that is that wasn't gone into with any intent.
Yeah.
outside of just everyone getting together and feeling good and having
The
a
magic
good time.
came later.
Yeah, oh,
I'm hilarious.
You're so funny. No, I think that came about because of definitely some. Astrid said after that, like, we were certainly playing with some forces that we did not comprehend.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't that it was necessarily like a group effort to manifest something specifically for all of us. But it was a great time.
What do you mean that you brought in other forces?
It wasn't that we brought in other forces. It's just like,
or we're working with them.
the whole idea of, witches dancing around a fire naked in the moonlight. That's got some fucking juice to it.
It's true.
It goes.
It fucks.
It goes real hard, and you got to be prepared for what happens after that. Because it could be an orgy. It could be some other wild shit.
So, what was the magic that conjured that night?
Oh, JMO. JMO's become a bit of a ritual.
Jameson?
Yeah. JMO's become a bit of a ritual here at the Polyamory. Whenever it's...
Loading.
Buffering. Whenever Aaron brings over a bottle of JMO, people just start making out left and right. Not in a way...
So there's magic in the JMO.
There's not necessarily magic. I think it's magic in the way in which people come into a space that they feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And feel comfortable. Like,
and you do strive to make a very welcoming environment to everybody.
I try my best to. I will admit that I have not been the best person in prior circumstances.
But you live, you learn, and now...
Definitely.
You change the behavior, though, to make sure...
Yeah.
...that it's different the next time,
I'm not gonna sugar. I'm just gonna say that I have brought harm to people before,
mm-hmm.
but I don't. I do my best not to do that anymore, and
I think you do a very good job of that.
I think so too. I don't think that anyone has. I trust the people that I'm with to vocalize and communicate if something that I am doing is making them uncomfortable
mm-hmm.
or is generally unchill. And for lack of
super not
word,
the vibes, bro.
This is not the vibes, dude. This does not vibe. But I think that part of that is like the introspection of the accountability processes that I went through and internalizing like the genuinely wanting to be a better person than I have been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a manifestation of the ways in which I approach relationships and sexual encounters? Not encounters, but...
Have you used your, sex magic specifically in a negative way?
No.
Besides the German boy.
No.
Which was not kind of us.
That was not chill.
That was super not chill.
That was decidedly on vibes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So...
My manifestation... Okay, so I use my sex magic. Do you know what a glamour is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But define it for those who may not know.
So a glamour is a spell that changes the way that people perceive you.
It's good. Continue.
I'm just trying to read chat. I don't know what that means.
It's for my Twitch.
Oh, whoa.
Thank you, Bucky, for contributing to the cosplay stream. I appreciate it.
I think that, yeah. So when I do glamours, surprise, surprise, as a trans woman, I still do feel dysphoria, even when I am consider myself to be butch. There are still days when I am feminine, and there are days where I'm just like, I'm not fucking feeling it. Just not there, but a good way for me to kind of like, not so much switch gears, but give myself the energy that I want to give out into the world and for people to perceive and partake of. I have used sex magic for that in producing a glamour for myself in order to appear more feminine or appear more masculine or play in those different kinds of spaces.
And how exactly would you define a glamour?
Glamour is a spell to change people perceive you.
Just changes the perception of you.
Yes, and so you can make people believe that like you have a glow about you. You can make people recognize certain parts of you that they wouldn't necessarily recognize.
And how would you go about these? You say you do sex magic to them, but what would be your process with it?
Oh man,
if you want to disclose your deepest, darkest secrets.
I get so far into subspace, sometimes I forget who I am.
As you should.
And so I think it's important to utilize other tools in order to concentrate that release of energy that an orgasm will exude in order to kind of focus your intention. Because I don't know about y'all, but I check out.
I think that's exactly what subspace is, though, is checking out.
Subspace is checking out.
Which we'll go into subspace in a whole other
This is a whole
episode. We'll do a whole episode on subspace and dom space, which is also a thing that nobody talks about.
Yes. Oh my god. But, usually I'll light some incense, light a candle specifically with the invocation that I would like to make for the spell. Sometimes carve sigils into the candle that are pertinent to the spell that I'm performing. And then...
Do you make your own sigils, or do you take them from anything?
I make my own sigils.
Nice.
I feel like, I think that that's important as far as sigil creation goes. I think it's not, if you were to protect, a protection sigil may not be, if you were to use, like, a protection sigil that somebody else has drawn up in order to protect something of yours, I don't think that's, like, that's a thing you shouldn't do. I don't think that, like, that's a bad thing, per se. I don't think it's bad to use the sigils that other people created. But I think that if you were trying to perform a specific spell with a specific outcome or manifest a specific thing, then I think that specificity...
That's a word.
Specificity? That specific thing that you're trying to do should be incorporated into the sigil that you are using. It's the difference between using like a fucking ballpoint pen to draw something or like a number 8 fucking like inking pen to do the thing that you want to do.
Well, I think it also really depends on the person because, like with the pen analogy that you're using, it's like some people will only do all of their spells in pen.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a very specific pen. Like, for example, for me, I only like these types of pens. I don't know how to describe this, so if you're listening, I'm sorry. But they're basically like the Sharpie pens.
It's a Pilot G2 07.
It's smooth. With a little clicky clack. And these are the only pens that I use, and I specifically always use this pen in my daily journal that I write in. And I hate using pencil. Where was I going with this? Oh, it depends on like your personal zhuzh and like what you're into. Like for me, the pen feels a little bit more powerful that if I were to do something with intent, I would do it in pen rather than pencil. Yeah, because it just feels like that to me. But that doesn't mean that doing it in pencil makes it less. It's just like if another person is like, I don't care about pencil. I like having the ability to erase because I might have spelled something wrong or whatever, which I do all the time also. But it's like, it depends on the person and how they like to use the tools that they have. There's no one way to do it. Everybody has their own way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think that it's, you know, it's more effective to use the sigils that you create, I think, to personalize the magic that you're performing.
And to avoid accidentally running into white supremacy symbols and not knowing it at the time. Which I have done for the longest time with my cosmetics brand.
Which one?
Quick plug. With my cosmetics brand, for a while I was thinking of having each product have like a rune on it and use runes. And then I learned that certain runes have been dog whistles. And I was like, you know what? How about we just don't get into any of that and avoid that altogether, so now everything's going to be original and my own, because then it's my magic, and it can't be misinterpreted as white supremacy makeup, which would be horrible! So...
How many skin color palettes do you have so far?
How many what?
How many skin color palettes do you have so far?
None.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Absolutely none. We're not even close to that. But yes, doing your own sigils in your candles. And so you would carve a sigil in the candle, and then what's the next step in this process?
Depends on how horny I am, really.
That's a move.
Because sometimes I can edge myself until the candle's about to go out and like try and time my orgasm to when the candle's
That's
done.
impressive. That's very impressive.
But sometimes I'm an impatient brat, and I just gotta come. I just gotta get that shit out.
People that are able to do countdown orgasms, and that I would consider that a countdown orgasm, where it's like literally counting down, and then when you hit 1, so when you orgasm, it takes so much skill. I'm always very impressed by that, because I can't fucking do that. I like to pretend that I can, I can't. Because a lot of the times it'll be like, okay, we're at 8 and I'm ready. But we're still counting down, and we're at 3 and it's gone. Okay. Like, we were there. Why didn't we just do it? We had to wait 8 more seconds. Oh, God. Terrible. Torture. But it is a form of edging.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to sex magic. So, using the candle, the orgasm, you apply this glamour to you, the vibe. The vibes have been commenced.
The vibes have been, commencing the vibe.
And then what?
And then I go out and I fuck.
You just continue to fuck throughout the day?
Continue to fuck. I have come no less than 4 times in the past 36 hours.
I believe that. I've heard it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll tell you a dark secret about me and to the internet. I orgasm every night. And I have since middle school.
I'm so proud of you.
It's a problem.
How often do you do your laundry?
I buzz out my clit so many times where it does not feel anything anymore. That's why I can't do countdown orgasms. I'm either there or I'm not. I do my laundry all the time. Why do you ask? I'm not dripping. I'm not shooting out fucking squirt guns out here. There's different levels of the orgasm. You know.
Yeah.
You're very much aware.
Yeah.
I've broken 3 Itachis. We stan. Okay, so,
God.
Is there anything else you would like to say about your experience with sex magic?
I think my first real experience with sex magic was with Tom.
I was wondering if you were going to bring him up.
I am,
do.
because that man is a fucking wizard.
Tell us about Tom.
Met
we
Tom.
just doxed the man. Let's go.
Met Tom on Grindr. Said he had beautiful
Where all
eyes.
true romances start.
And he does have beautiful eyes. They're just a fucking striking, gorgeous blue. Met up for a drink. Talked for like an hour and a half. I was looking for a daddy at the time, and then like a couple weeks later, maybe a month later.
Oh, some time has passed.
Some time has passed. And then he invites me out to dinner and to spend the night at his place. And I go, and that man rocked my fucking world.
Would you like to go into any detail?
I don't know immediately how to explain it. It wasn't the first time that I had gone to subspace, but I can only explain it as like subspace, but like 100-fold.
Yeah.
Just entirely out of my body, just floating through fucking space.
Mm-hmm.
Like making me feel things that I'd never fucking felt before. It's gonna sound weird.
Go for it.
I'm only gonna say this because this is the way that like I'm able to describe it. Gave me a vagina and then fucked me with his energy cock.
I love this. Continue, please. So the gender euphoria was there.
The gender euphoria was there. Like, me teasing, my dick or whatever, but then would rub, my taint, like the space between, like, my ball sack and my asshole.
You so eloquently put that.
The space of skin between my testicles and my rectum.
Yes, where a vagina opening would be.
Would be,
yeah.
And would, like, just do the slightest little touches with his fingers.
Kind of like hitting, like, the back of the P-spot, almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
But...
Lou is out here taking notes.
I haven't been able to necessarily, like, recreate that feeling with anybody else.
Well, it might have just been the vibe of the evening, Like,
that
your body was just
continued
in the right position for that.
for years.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we're coming up on...
He can do it every time, but nobody
years.
else has been able to recreate it?
Not
Magic
that space.
fingies.
That, like... it was like I could feel... Like I could feel being fucked.
Yeah.
Like, as if I had a vagina.
Vaginally, yeah.
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 It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was the most insane fucking thing.
That's so fucking cool.
And I can't get over it.
I'm sure.
It's fantastic.
And he's able to create this every time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if anybody wants to reach out, his phone number is... No, I'm just kidding. Do you feel like you've gone TMI, or are we doing good?
No, we could get more TMI.
Oh!
My ass hurts. This is a very uncomfortable
Do you want to switch chairs real quick for a little bit?
Switch chairs?
Okay.
We
can switch chairs for a second.
Front and center.
Alright, here.
How do...
Go back. We're doing great.
We're doing so good.
This is great.
Hello.
Oh, this chair sucks.
I am the Lucyfer now. I'm still so tall. Can I just... Is there a way to...
Don't.
Go down?
Don't. just scooch. There you go.
Oh, God.
Is there any other experience you would like to share, or would you like to continue to elaborate on the gender euphoria moment?
I'm just reminiscing.
She's having a moment.
I'm having a moment.
Do you need some water?
I might need another beer.
Oh my god.
I'm out of water.
Damn. She'd be drinking like a fish out here.
Glub, 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 glub. I'm a thirsty bitch, what can I say?
We know. We've been new. We're gonna get into polyamory at some point and really get into the thirst of it all. Depending on how far down this list we go, because we're at...
Hour and a half.
And we're only on bullet point 2.
Mm-hmm. As I go back into my practice and, like, go back into practicing magic the ways that I want to. There's like 4 bullet points.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
There's like 8 bullet points. Oh goodness. I'm definitely going to be, it's magic is like any other kind of human artistry.
Elaborate.
Anybody can draw as long as you pick up a drawing utensil.
Yeah.
But it takes practice in order to be able to replicate the things that you draw consistently. It takes practice in order to refine the details of the things that you create. It takes practice to maintain the skills that you develop over time. And magic is very much the same way. And so I'm feeling incredibly out of practice. My lines are all wobbly.
I've been feeling the same way too. Like I said, since the flood, I haven't really done much just because I think both of us have just been surviving. And I'm excited for this holiday season because I really think both you and I are going to be able to actually get back into our magic and what we do. I'm very excited for Yule. And Dahlia has made some beautiful mead for Yule that we have aging right now, and so there's definitely magic in that. That could be a whole episode about like brewing and the magic and intention you put into it.
I would say most of my magic goes into cooking.
Oh, 100%. You're definitely a kitchen witch.
100%.
And Dahlia is an incredible cook.
Thank you.
Incredible cook. And apparently gives great orgasms, but I don't know that part. So those are your 2 brands of magic from what I understand. Right?
Yeah.
Do you have any other brands of magic beyond that? Chaos, I guess.
Brands? I don't know about specific branches of magic. I just
do.
I just do things. I draw stuff in the dirt. I make potions. Just alcohol. I'm going to be making a potion of make you horny, which is going to be mead with Damiana, Lady's Mantle, some hibiscus, and lavender.
Ooh.
So it's going to get you a little bit tipsy and also get you...
We'll get a girl blunt. We'll drink that. We'll be the most extra bitches in all the land.
Oh my god, pre-gaming a night out with that.
Oh my god. It's going to be delicious, though. I'm very excited for it. So, we've talked about your experience.
Yes.
We've talked about how. But, what are the results of your sex magic? What has it brought you? Like, we know about the results with the German boy, how for a week we all got this energy, but why is it a continued practice for you? What is the result that you keep getting, and why do you keep nurturing this practice?
It's different results every time. Or, not different results. It's like a different... I'm scooch. I'm too tall for this. Can we scooch your camera up a little bit?
Sure. Keep talking.
A bit tall.
Tool.
I'm tall.
Nope.
Alright.
That's what we got.
Alright, okay. Good enough. That's a little bit better.
So, your results. All different.
Depends on what I am trying to bring forth or manifest or produce. A lot of it's joy. A lot of it is gender euphoria. If in that build up where you're just laying there or sitting there and like building up that point to orgasm.
Orgasm?
Orgasm.
I gotta get me that orgasm.
But that can be a meditative space as well, and I think that's brought me to lots of points of gender euphoria, to introspection on my sexuality and the ways in which I interact with other people within the sexual space, and like I find you know, I'm a butch woman. I got the short hair. I got the fucking suspenders. I got the whole shebang.
Hell yeah.
I am an incredibly feminine person
100%.
whenever I am fucking.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, it doesn't matter if I'm, like, bottoming or topping or, like, being submissive or dominating. Just, like, my energy exudes femininity whenever I am in that space.
Yeah.
And I find that incredibly interesting. That I can, like...
Interesting how?
Interesting that I can, like... occupy this space of masculinity, you know, not just whenever, you know, I do have days where I am more feminine, you know, I like wear dresses, wear skirts, wear like cute little fishing some thigh highs, and like my masculinity is accessed through my femininity, and that is a space that I have come to be comfortable in because of the ways in which I perform sex magic and the people that I'm with.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool.
That's beautiful. I love that. And that's a great segue into polyamory.
Polyamory!
But let's pause a second.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take a slight break to get drink refills.
Mm-hmm. I gotta piss.
And so Dahlia can piss.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be back and we're going to talk about polyamory. So, BRB! Woo! We're back. Oh,
Whoa.
God. Hold on.
Whatever King is.
Okay. Woo! Oh, my God. And we're back. Nobody would get that. That's... Sorry.
Nobody, you think nobody here listens to King Giz?
No. They'll get yours.
Okay.
It's It's niche. It's fine.
I don't know what the...
It's fine.
Check thing?
It's fine. It's referencing another podcast. But, hello. We're back.
Hi.
We are
Hello.
here still with Dahlia. And we're going to get into the
Take your time.
polyamory, thank you, aspect of sex magic. Begin. No. So.
What you gotta know is, I fuck.
So Dahlia is polyamorous, as am I, but we are not polyamorous together.
No.
We're just gonna lay that out there real quick.
We're just adjacent to each other's
Yes,
polyamory.
we've been adjacent to many a polyamory experience. I got some chips, and I don't know if it's gonna be a problem.
That's nice. It's a good crunch. It's fantastic.
It's definitely gonna be a problem. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so how does polyamory weave into your sex magic? I feel like it's obvious, duh.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to sex magic specifically, what role does polyamory take? Well, hold on. Hold on. I'm so sorry. For the children who are unaware, should we define polyamory?
Yeah.
Okay. For those who do not know, polyamory is when you date more than one person and the other people are also aware and consensual to that as well. I personally hate the term ethical non-monogamy because it should always be ethical. I don't know why we need to categorize it as that. But there's certain forms of polyamory and it's important to discuss which version you are.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a comment on the ethical part?
I think it's important to note it as that, especially to people who may be off-put a little bit by the idea of multiple partners.
Yeah, but when I hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm ethically non-monogamous," I'm like, so you recognize that there's a version that's not ethical? And I don't believe in that. The not ethical is just called cheating and being an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's a non-ethical version that's okay.
Here's the distinction. It's like saying, you know, like there are versions of not versions. There, what's the word I'm looking for? Not manifestations, but there are monogamous relationships which are not ethical.
Though.
And
okay.
So there can be polyamorous relationships which are not ethical. I think that,
which is,
like,
yes, very true.
You know, it's not to say that, like, you know, no true Scotsman, no true polyamorous relationship is unethical, but I think that it should not be discounted to say that, like, only people with the most perfect morals can practice polyamory.
There's many different versions of polyamory, and I'm not going to get into all the different versions, but just mostly the ones that apply to us and our versions of polyamory, because I think you and I have a very different way of doing polyamory. And then there's also something that's called solo poly, which is basically a person that is single that has many different rotating partners, but they're all aware that they're rotating partners, and they don't have to be the same partner. Multiple different partners. It's basically like, in other words, you're just like, oh, I'm seeing people right now. It's the same thing of, like, just dating but still single. A lot of people will have that be their way of life, and that's like the solo poly. And then my version of poly, I think I definitely have kind of a hierarchy poly at the moment, where it's like me and my partner are kind of each other's primaries. And then we say that we got hoes. We got hoes. And so then we have our other people, and some people would define that as an open relationship. I don't really define it as an open relationship, because me and my partner are also still okay with that if our other people end up having more of a relationship with us. That's okay. We just don't have more of a relationship with those people yet. But it's not off.
Bucky's asking if you got hoes in different area codes.
Damn right, you know what's up. It's not cheating if you're in different zip codes. You know that. I had monogamous boyfriend way back in the day tell me that, like, full, not ironically. They're like, it was a different zip code, it doesn't count. And I'm like, that's not how this works. I'm so sorry. But me and my partner are very much open to having more, like, romantic, or, because I have romantic relationships that aren't sexual, and I have sexual relationships that aren't romantic with my other peoples. But they're much more on a casual thing for me. We don't check in with each other every day. We'll see each other a couple times a month. It's not the constant need to maintain. We're just kind of like, you do you, I'll do me. We'll see each other when we see each other, not a big deal. When me and my primary partner, we see each other, like, every week, multiple times a week, and we're texting every day. But I haven't reached a point, and they haven't reached a point with anybody else where it's that level with them, but we're also open to the fact that that could be a thing. But we also have decided not to date the same people either, because that's been wrong for us multiple times. So we just decided to not do that anymore. So that's kind of our version of polyamory, and as you can see, like, it's very customizable. There's not, like, a certain way to do it. It's like, I'm comfortable with this, you're comfortable with that, this is what works for us, but that doesn't mean it would work for somebody else. So anytime my partner and I communicate with another partner, we let them know, like, hey, this is, like, the boundaries that we have set, and this is where we're at. What do you want? What do you need? And sometimes we will also adjust the relationship to work for new people if we want to or not. It becomes a discussion. But Dahlia has a very different version of polyamory.
Yeah. So me and my partners, or my partners and I, practice at least within our relationships, relationship anarchism, which is to say that there is no hierarchy between partners. I live with two of my partners, Amethyst and Astrid, and I have other partners out of town and out of state, even.
Always in different area codes.
Always in different area codes. But then I also have what I would say is a I don't want to say like a roster or a collection, because that seems
that feels
bad.
Icky. That feels like ownership. Yeah.
It feels like I have many lovers.
A Rolodex.
A harem is what Bucky says.
A harem. A gaggle, if you will.
A gaggle?
A flock. A murder.
What do you call a group of line cooks?
Oh no.
A herd.
Oh god. We've entered the dad jokes era of this podcast.
No, I have with how many cat furries, you may as well be a clouder.
Oh my god, Bucky.
I have 2 cat furries.
Yes.
3 cat furries.
Yeah.
Nya.
Go on.
Nya.
Your gaggle of queers.
My gaggle of queers. But people who I consider lovers, not necessarily partners, because I think with partner comes like not so much connotations, but there definitely is a expectation of commitment, and that is a conversation to be had with all parties involved. You know, where like a lover, I would consider as someone who I am like often, or often to occasionally like intimate with, and you know, I even say like I love you to some of them, like we tell that to each other. But it's also like it's not like a step below partnership, but a different kind of
just a different version of relationship.
Yes, a different way.
It doesn't make it lesser than the others. It's just what the two parties agreed to doing. And if it moves around in that, it's not a big deal.
It can be kind of a nebulous space, and if
and you don't require permission from other partners to do so.
Yeah, here the thing about our polyamory is that, like, not to say that like your partner doesn't trust you. But there's enough trust in our relationship and each other's people to make sure that, like, you know, we have upkeep on like STI testing, HIV testing, making sure that we're practicing like safe sex with people that we're with, and you know, I don't have to tell or double check with every interaction that I have with somebody who is outside of the polycule. Per se, like if I'm gonna go have like a one night stand with somebody, like, you know, my partners trust that I will be safe with that, and make sure that I'm, you know, getting tested and taking care of like myself even within that interaction, and then I can bring it up the next day and be like, hey, I went home with somebody last night and it was hot as fuck. Yeah.
Well, and like I think the reason for me why me and my partner are more like kind of checking in with each other before something like that happens is mainly because of me, because I have a lot of health conditions and I can't risk anything ever. So it's like, even if I were to go off on like a one night stand or something and they're like, oh yeah, I've totally been tested, I don't believe them until I see physical documentation. And so that makes it difficult to have moments like this.
Mm-hmm.
So my partner and I, part of our relationship is we've agreed that whenever we're with anybody, we need to see physical identification that they have gotten tested, because multiple people have lied to us in the past. So
sucks.
that's mainly why we're not on that level, which I think we would be if, like, the STI situation was not an issue. If it was a non-issue, if it didn't exist, then it would be a very different dynamic. And I think the reason our dynamic is like that is just because I have so many health issues that I'm like, we can't risk jack shit, that we can't take those moments.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
How's that beer holding up?
It's holding up just fine. This is not the same PBR. This is a different, shittier piss beer.
We love a good piss beer. So, with that said, and polyamory and kind of how it works, and our versions of polyamory, just because these are the versions that we've talked about does not mean this is the only way to do polyamory.
And that's not even, like, this... The way
this
that
is just the tip of the iceberg.
The way that I do like, the ways in which my relationships operate now is not always been the case, you know? I was with someone for almost a year who expressed, similar concerns to you about, like, being with people, and if I'm going to be with anyone new, of having a STI test before I was intimate with them, my partner again.
Which is what I do with people now. I always say, like, you're allowed to make your own bad decisions, just don't let it affect me.
Yeah. And I respected that for the duration of our relationship. And when we broke up, I went back to being a slut again, because the rest of my partners were comfortable with me being a slutty little...
Slut.
A cute little tart.
Oh my goodness. So, with all that said, how does polyamory play into sex magic?
I think that if I'm to be performing sex magic with different people, then that manifests in different ways of performing ritual. I'm talking. Ritual. I think. Yeah, I think that, like, the different ways and, like, the different people that I am with and performing magic with, if that is something that we agree to do prior, then, you know, that changes the way that rituals are created or performed, because, like, I can edge myself and I can know exactly when I'm about to come and, like, put myself on that edge until, like, I'm ready to release the magic, as it were.
Release the beast.
But, you know, if you're pleasuring somebody else, that may not always you don't always have that feedback, especially if they're so far gone that you know, they can no longer accurately communicate where that edge is.
Yeah, which is true. Well, that's, like, specifically edging.
That's specifically edging, but also it's like, it's the same thing with, like, you know, personalizing the sigils that you create. Is an inherently personal thing, and, you know, it's like playing music with somebody, you know? Like, two people can play guitar, but they'll play guitar in, like, wildly different ways, and that changes the way in which I play drums with them, or I play, like, a different instrument with them.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And so the energies that they bring to spell a ritual,
everyone brings their different vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, what is it like when it's, like, masturbation magic versus magic with one other person versus magic with multiple people when it comes to a sex magic scenario?
Magic with multiple people is there's a lot going on. There's so many different energies, like, just almost like swirling around each other, you know, like it's hard to describe.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is just like a space that is so thick with intent.
Yeah.
You know, it's a palpable kind of feeling when you're in that space.
You could cut it with a
bunch of
knife
different
kind of
people.
thing, yeah. Woo! Party! Opa! I could get you something, but...
I'm fine. It's okay.
You sure? Okay.
It's not that bad.
Okay.
You didn't see anything.
Nobody saw anything, and you didn't hear it either. So, group sex magic. Have you experienced it? I mean, you kind of did say with the orgy that you did.
Orgy, but that wasn't like a pointed kind of intent with that. It was just kind of like we've been drinking a little bit of some alcohol, and there's people dancing nude under the full moon. This is going only one way. There's only one way this is going to end.
Was I there when the people were dancing?
No, I think that you left.
I started to feel the vibe change.
Yeah.
Going from, we're having a show with friends to, oh.
Here's another thing. There was a touring band that night. I felt so bad because they were in the living room on the opposite side of the wall of that happening.
No, they weren't involved?
They weren't involved.
I thought they were involved.
No.
Were they invited?
I was getting the vibe that
they were not interested.
They were not interested. I didn't want to just be like,
man.
You know.
They will remember that show forever. It will be a little
funny forever. They'll
be like, tell me about tour. Well, when one place we stayed at, they had an orgy next to us.
They were adjacent to that.
So.
But I mean, with intentional groups, I've had, like threesomes where that is the intent is to perform magic. But like as far as like bigger groups, that is not something that I have necessarily experienced.
So if you want to get a hold of Dahlia and put together a magical sex orgy...
Well, my birthday's coming up.
You have to send out smoke signals, you have to read to a crow, and then you have to jump 3 times, turn left, and then toss a paper airplane in the air to reach her.
I can also be reached by telegram.
And Morse code. So how does all of this, now with like the polyamory aspect, I keep wanting to say polyamory.
Yeah. Polyamory
aspect into this also bring gender and sexuality into sex magic?
Well, like, I didn't elaborate on like how solo and like...
Oh my god!
You're just jumping right ahead.
I'm so sorry.
It's
Continue.
Okay. You're so on your chips right now.
I love these chips.
Can I have a chip?
You can have a chip.
I want to have an ASMR
experience. We got some kettle cooked chips here. Oh my god. They're so good.
It's delicious.
Okay. Solo
sex magic. Oh my god, you can be so precise with the energy that you're trying to bring out. You can like...
Do you think it's easier to do solo sex magic than magic with people or multiple people?
I think it's a different kind of magic. I think it depends on like what you're trying to accomplish with that practice. I think that's like... Solo sex magic is good for like personal or like pointed outcomes or manifestations. So like I would do solo if I'm trying to like produce a glamour, or I would do solo if I'm trying to like manifest like a new job or whatever the fuck, or like bring some creativity for some music or some art that I'm trying to create, or just like try and get in tune with myself and get into a meditative space.
Yeah.
magic with another person, I think it's a collaborative effort, you know, like that the way, that's what I'm looking for. So magic with others is creating something greater than the sum of its parts. It is collaborating on making something that is more than just what you.
It's like any other group project, basically. Yeah.
Can bring into this world. You know, the ways in that I perform like magic with Tom per se is a lot different than the ways in which I perform sex magic with any other partners.
Well, and I think that's just sex in general too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
The way you experience other people, or even like talk or act or behave around other people, is going to be different for each individual person.
Yep.
And especially when it comes to poly, it's like, of course, sex is going to be different with different partners because they're all different people. And I think that's something that monogamy doesn't fully understand.
Yeah.
Is that it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is something that I think like BDSM and kink is really good at like introducing as a concept to people, is that what you are into is not universal.
Oh.
And the ways in which you experience pleasure is not universal. And I think that a lot of, you know, you hear so much about like how monogamous people have like some trouble like pleasing their partner for whatever reason. Is because they're not talking to them. They're not communicating that.
Not meeting those needs because maybe they're just unable to.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to meet every single need of your partner. You don't need to be the one person in the world for that person. You can have, like, in friendships, you have different friends for different things. It's like, I play this game with this friend, and I go to drag shows with this friend, and yada yada. It should be the same in a relationship where it's like, well, me and this partner, we do this together, but me and this partner, we're able to experience this together because my other partner is not interested in doing that, so I was able to find somebody that is.
Yep.
And I can get that fulfilled for me so I don't feel like I'm missing anything in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like...
And kink is a huge part of that. I know so many people that, like, they're monogamous sexually, but they'll have kink partners. And I know a lot of people are, like, confused by that even being a thing, but it's, like, sex in the traditional form of penetration sex. And then you can also have partners where you just spank them. You don't do anything else. You just have impact play with this person. There's no penetration, there's no nothing, and that's it. And that is a kink relationship. And I think having kink partners, lovers, sexual partners, all of those are different.
Yeah.
All of those hold different meanings in different ways, and I think each person can categorize it different to themselves.
Yeah.
Just the way that we have, like, friends versus best friends versus acquaintances, or internet friends versus in-person friends. Everybody's different.
They're all different ways in which to interact with another human being.
Exactly.
And that's the fucking core of it.
Exactly.
Truly.
And I think it's just silly to expect one person to uphold
every single aspect of humanity.
And given, I will say, there are scenarios where that does work for people. I would say that's more the minority, though.
Yeah. If monogamy works for you...
Oh, Jesus, that scared the shit out of me. The water turned on.
Oh my god. Why is the New York subway above the roof?
Sorry, the subway's going by real quick.
Why are we suddenly on the BART?
Oh my god. So... let's get into a little bit about kink in magic. Because I am very much invested in the fact that basically all kink is magic. Depending on what's going on, you are doing some form of a spell, some form of ritual to get some form of
ritual
intention or gain, whatever that may be, whatever you're into, especially when people hire sex workers.
Yeah.
Because they are there because with a dominatrix, it's like, hey, my partner doesn't do this, or I'm single, and this is just something I am really interested in doing. I will pay you to do this for me. And that can be used as a form of magic or a form of spell where it's like, I gift this to you and you will gift this on to me, and it's something that I need. And then I think if more people were more open to sex, and especially sex work like that, people would be way less stressed.
Yeah.
Because it's okay to be, especially if it's something you're ashamed of or embarrassed of, being able to take that so your partner doesn't have to do it, especially if they're uncomfortable with it, and you're able to hire somebody that can fulfill said need. I think that's so incredibly important, and it's the same thing you would do with anything. I got holes in my socks. I shouldn't wear these socks anymore. I should go get new socks. I'm going to go to the Target and buy new socks, and now I feel better that I have new socks on. Why continue to wear the socks with holes in it if there's a solution? So it's like, find a person that's able to fulfill that need, because it's not bad that we all need our own things.
Yeah.
And not one... The one person in your life is not going to be comfy with everything you do. That's just facts.
There are partners that I would let beat the shit out of me.
Damn right.
And I have other partners who that thought terrifies them.
Yes.
Because they're just scared to hurt me.
Exactly.
And I'm not gonna push them to try and like push past that discomfort. If they're not comfortable with bringing any harm to me for one reason or another, I'm not gonna like make them fucking hurt me, because that sucks.
Yeah. Well, and especially in a sexual situation, I'm sure we've all been there, where you're looking at the partner that you're with at the time and you're like, you're not really enjoying this, are you? And you can tell. You can see it on their face. And there's been times where I've been in a situation where I'm like, I know that you're doing this for me because you know that I need it, but I can tell that you're not into it, that I just rather you not do it then. Like, if you're not also really stoked to be doing this with me, then let's not do this. Yes, I'm definitely down for it, and I definitely want it, but if you're not feeling it, I'll just do it with somebody else. That's okay. I will find this outlet in a different space, because the last thing I want is, I hate when my partners feel obligated to do anything. That's one of my biggest, like, pet peeves, I guess. So especially when it comes to, like, if you're bringing sex magic into it, and you're doing these certain rituals that, for you, require these certain things, and your partner is like, huh? What? That brings that energy into the sex magic as well, and it doesn't make it vibe quite right. It doesn't hit quite right.
Yeah.
You know? That it's okay to find other people to fulfill certain different types of sex magic, because you don't have to do sex magic with just one specific person. You can do it with multiple different people and have them all be different types. Life is very customizable.
Customizable?
Customizable.
Life is what you make it.
Yeah!
Or something.
Something!
That's what the old people say.
Live, laugh, love.
Am I an old people?
No.
In spirit.
In spirit.
My flip phone.
Yeah.
And my suspenders.
Oh my god. Just like a Build-A-Bear. Yes, thank you, Pucky. So, sex magic. And kink.
And kink. There are many kinks that are just like, ritual is at the fucking forefront.
Like?
Of that. Certain types of power dynamics, power exchange, certain types of bondage.
Wax play?
Rope is very ritualistic because it has to be.
Wax play is very ritualistic as well.
Just the act of getting someone into subspace.
Just anything that takes kind of setup time, that foreplay time, that prep time until it builds, and then also has the takeaway time, the aftercare time, the coming down time, which is sex in general as well. But all of that is just a ritualistic space that build up to the drop. And it shouldn't be like a hard drop either.
Yeah.
It needs to work like a mountain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying that a lot.
It's okay. I keep saying so.
Okay.
So we're both on it.
All right. So, like, to give an example, if I'm going to be performing, like, impact play with somebody and performing that scene, and it is a scene. There's a reason that they refer to as scenes within kink and BDSM, and that is because you are playing a part in a space that is created for that part. And you are getting into that part, and you're coming out of that. You know, like the mountain. If you spend too much time in there, depending on what the scene is, really, really bad things can happen. And so, you know, when you're settling into that scene, you know, if I'm together with a new play partner and we start talking about, like, negotiations and stuff, like, what are our hard boundaries? What do we like? What do we dislike? What does the submissive want out of this interaction? What does the dominant want out of this interaction? And let's just say that I am the dominant in this interaction. I'm not going to just get, like, you know, go through the negotiations and understand the boundaries and what they want, and then immediately go like, okay, cool, we're all good? Perfect, and then immediately go in for a face slap. That's not fucking cool. You have to build up a little bit.
There's a reason there's foreplay.
Yeah, and the same is true for kink. You know, to build someone into that space, a little bit of light taps on the cheek. Like if they're laying down, just like doing a couple light taps on their bottom or wherever you are going to be impacting
There's a word for this with impact, where it's like the prepping of that space, because you can't just automatically go in and hit somebody really quickly. Your body won't react right. That you have to do like the taps and have them progressively get a little bit harder so the blood can get to that area, so it's not painful in a bad way. Yeah, there's a word for it. I can't think of what the term is, though.
And even within, like, kink and, like, fetish and BDSM, like, there is still bad pain to be had from the exact same action, depending on the context in which it is performed.
100%.
And so being cognizant of... Is it flushing?
Flushing! Yes! Thank you!
Yeah.
Thank you! Also, welcome in. Hello.
Hi. Yeah,
You know who that is, right?
No.
They were at our house. I'll tell you later. I don't want to dox them.
All right.
There you go.
Hey, Robin. Hi.
Okay, good. Okay, we're doxing. All right.
Just the name isn't. I mean, I guess calling me Dahlia is a dox, especially if I'm plugging my
dox.
Twitter.
I try not to say anything unless people say it's okay. I'll say usernames before I say names. Welcome in.
Hi, Torin, hi.
So, I just did it again. The so. Kink, magic.
Absolutely.
Yes. Flushing. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so, performing that ritual in order to get someone into that space, in order to get into that space yourself, it doesn't matter if you are, you know, the dominant submissive within that exchange. That's really, really important.
Yeah. Well, and even in kink scenarios, there's not always a dominant and a submissive, too. And I think a lot of people get very stuck on the fact of dominant, submissive, top, bottom, da-da-da, where it's like, it could just be two people just experiencing different things. And even going back and forth, or being like, oh, well, this time around, I want to be the one that gets spanked.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a dynamic all the time.
Yeah.
It can just be chill. And
negotiations are the biggest part of kink, and part of that is like renegotiating your dynamic.
Which we should do a whole thing on that.
Absolutely.
But today is not that day. Today is sex magic, and we keep getting pulled away. Anything else you would like to add to the kink element of this?
Oh man, using kink to like excise somebody's demons is a fun time.
Really smacking them out of them?
Yeah, just really railing somebody to get whatever they need out of them.
Catholicism really has the best.
Really has the best.
It has.
Du hast
niche. It really does have the best kink aesthetics and just vibes. Catholicism, nuns, exorcisms, come on. Blood
flesh? Is not. Blood and flesh are not like inherently Catholic.
Oh.
Yeah. Other people have blood, Lucifer. I need you to know this.
I drank it all.
Oh no.
Please read The Court of the Nameless Queen
by Natalie Ironside. Yes, Bucky, we will read Court of the Nameless Queen.
I won't, because I don't know how to read.
It's true.
So, for anyone that is looking into getting into sex magic, where would you suggest that they begin?
Oh my god. Don't start with just the sex magic. I think that needs to come from a place of complete honesty with yourself and your sexuality and the ways in which you interact with other people. I think that involves like engaging with some uncomfortable truths about yourself in order to get that complete honesty and operate from a space of integrity. Because if you're not honest about the ways in which you have sex, you won't be honest about the ways in which you're performing magic or manifesting the things that you want to have happen. Especially if you're doing that with other people. Like, just wait until you are secure in yourself and the ways in which you can interact with sexuality before performing any kind of sex magic. That kind of space is not for the faint of heart, and it's easy to get lost in it, as it were. You know, when I mentioned that, like, it's hard to maintain intention when in the throes of pleasure. I mean that, like, it's easy to get sidetracked, and it's easy to stray away from the thing that you want, chasing the thing that you're seeking, like orgasm. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
A little.
A little? Okay.
Do you want to clarify anything?
No.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps.
When I say that you need to be honest with yourself, I think being honest with the ways in which you interact with other people sexually and the ways in which you have interacted with other people sexually and physically, and moving forward from a place of honesty with yourself in order to perform magic to the best of your ability.
I'd agree with that. I'd also add on just like, don't take it too seriously. Don't overdo the thought into it, because that can also muddy up the magic, I think. Like, go into it with the intention, but don't be like, okay, I'm doing sex magic, and I need to do this within this time limit, and I need to make sure that this, and this gets done during it, or else it's not gonna work. No. The only thing that you really need out of it is the intention and then the release of the intention.
Yeah.
However that is. That doesn't mean it has to be orgasm. That can be something as simple as what we were saying with impact play, of like building up the hits until it's like really big hits, and that's the release of the intention over and over and over again. just remember that sex is meant to be fun and exciting. Don't overthink it too much where you're not enjoying yourself anymore.
Yeah.
That's mainly what I would say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a blast.
Yeah. We're all just here to have a good time.
Fuck it up.
Do some magic about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the end of our 4-hour-long episode. How long was it?
It was
2.5 hours.
That's not bad.
It's pretty good.
Did we hit all of our...
We did. We hit all the points. Unless you'd like to elaborate on anything that we've spoken about. Can you read my handwriting? It's pretty shit.
Putting energy into another person and to be careful with that. Oh. Yeah.
Masturbating, yeah.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all of
Yeah.
it. So this is Dahlia.
Hi.
Dahlia, I ask people this, but you don't subscribe to this kind of stuff. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Listen to the new RottenReputation album. It's really good. It's ska, and that's why it's really good.
It's called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Scary stories to tell
Scowy.
in the dark. Fucking yeah. Follow me on Twitter for a bunch of sexy things.
What's your Twitter handle?
Butch Possum Bitch without the vowels at BTCHPSSM. BTCH.
Got it.
Cool. Making sure that the
that the subtitles got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm putting out a bunch of content. Buy my shit if you are interested in doing some scenes with me. Reach out. DM.
Shoot your
I got
shot.
the stuff. I also do velvet skateboards. I make skateboards. It's a cool time. It's pretty sick.
Where can they get your skateboards?
Boardpusher.com/velvet has all of my boards that you can purchase. If you just go through. If you don't like any of the ones that are just on the front page, you can just go to the past decks and you'll see like all of our skateboards that we've done so far. As long as the shape is still in stock, you can still get one.
Woohoo!
It's pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, or is that it? That's actually a lot more than I thought you were gonna say.
Oh. What did you think I was gonna say?
Nothing. Don't find me. Goodbye.
You can find me. You can find me for some stuff. Yeah. Hit me up about in-person stuff. We'll talk.
We'll talk. Well, thank you, Dahlia, for coming on to the podcast. And Dahlia's gonna be a continuous person on here. So let me know what you think of her, and I will throw all the reviews away. Because I don't care.
I don't either.
Well, I hope you all have a lovely whatever day it is for you today or night. And we'll see you next month. Every second Monday of the month. I don't know the YouTube upload schedule yet. Stay tuned for me to get my shit together. Follow the Discord. It's linked in bios. You'll find them. Okay, bye!